Hey there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for the cut file crew. This month we are all creating with this free file from Cut to You. It was available in their newsletter. So I've actually cut the cut file down and to just get messy. So I've dug through my Vicki Boutin stash and I've picked out papers that are in shades of blues, greens and yellows to go with these two photos of my husband and I getting very messy. I'll come back to those later on. I decided I was going to use one of the Vicki Boutin foundation papers as the background. I find these so useful and I tend to get them every time they're released with a range because I find that even though I do mixed media of my own, they are a really good starting point, sometimes better than having just a blank 12 by 12 white piece of cardstock in front of you. And I know this one's mainly green and yellow, but I think actually it all goes with that watery theme and I think it's a good basis, then I can introduce other colours. I did look at a couple that were more shades of blue, but that means I would have stuck to certain tones and I wanted to introduce a few more colours. So that's the thoughts for the background that I've picked. I mean, I will cover quite a lot of it up, but it was definitely got me motivated and got me scrapping these photos. So I've got all these papers on the left. They're from different ranges. I find that once a range is slightly older, I tend to store it with other ranges by the same manufacturer or same designer. So I know these are all Vicki Boutin over the last few years, and I find that the colours seem to go very well together. So I don't mind that I'm mixing collections at all. So I'm looking at creating originally a vertical layout, but actually it tends to go both ways by the time I finish and I end up with quite a lot of horizontal embellishments, but that's fine too. I let it just happen a little bit organically for me. There wasn't much thought in advance apart from the cut file and the photographs, and after that I just went with how it looked and how I felt. So I really like the vertical strips that I've ripped. I've also punched one there as well. That's kind of like a nod to the watery theme. So I've not been using my punches much either, so I thought it's time to get them back out there and on a layout. I really like the big camera that I've got on the left, and I've cut the strap that was connected to the camera, meaning that it could actually curve behind the photograph. That's definitely here to stay. That's something that I really liked. Now I'm just going through the bits and pieces and I find some small bits of ephemera as well. That is definitely all Vicki Boutin, but as I say, mixed ranges, and I'm starting to have a look at the bits and pieces and see what might make the cut and what definitely isn't suitable for this layout. What I would say is though, don't be scared to alter a cut file. So when you saw this cut file with the 3 words on it, initially even I wasn't sure how that would work with the sort of scrapbooker that I am, and then actually I only cut a third of it and I actually love the word. I think that works really well. I cut it in a dark, it is actually a pattern paper even though it does look like a cardstock there, but there is no reason that you can't make a cut file your own. I mean, you probably already resize it. Sometimes I really change the size of them. You could make them literally 12 by 12. I do a lot of A4 scrapping, so I quite often alter the dimensions of a cut file for that. But as I say, who says you need to use all of it? And this piece is perfect for these photographs, so that's what I'm going to go with. So you just saw me bring in a couple of metal dies there. I'm definitely trying to introduce some more curvy, wavy themes. I've also cut some Vicki Boutin paper that had waves on it. I don't know if you remember that, in shades of blue. And I've got a couple of waves running up that right hand side. I'm just looking at papers now because I'm going to map the photographs. So you'll see my hands moving while I'm still talking. What I would say is do check out the Cut File crew. It's a group of scrapbooking ladies or creative ladies that using a free cut file every month all use it as inspiration to make something. Mainly layouts, but there are some mini bookmakers and card makers in the group. So it's based on Instagram only, so look at hashtag Cut File crew and see if there's any inspiration that sparks your creativity. As I say, we do it once a month. It's usually the last Sunday of a month, and it's always a free cut file, which means that you can always get your hands on it and have a go as well. So hopefully today you'll see lots of different representations using this cut file. So I've cleared the decks a little bit because actually I find it sometimes a little bit like suffocating when all the stuff is there. Once I've made a reasonable choice of things that might be used or are definitely going to be used, I clear the decks a bit just to give myself some breathing space, and I find it helps me think a little bit better. I don't know about you, but I just find that the mess sometimes clogs my thoughts. So I'm now definitely working on the bits I want to keep together, and then I'll add some little bit more finishing touches as I go. So I want to make this blue piece a little bit longer. It's all I had. It was left from something else. So I'm actually ripping it in half because it's going to be covered by the photograph. And then I'm going to start to stick these down and get them into position. I'm not very a quick scrapbooker, that you'll probably know if you've watched my videos before. It's just all part of the process for me. I can't seem to, I am speedier than I used to be, goodness me. Years ago, and I'm talking 10 plus years ago, it could take me days to make a layout, which makes me smile now because I really haven't got days free to be able to make a layout, but it's just the way it was. I do enjoy the process, I do enjoy the choosing, and so that's kind of the way it is. And also I'm not on a deadline to fill an album or work by year. I scrap what I like when I like, so I do take some of those pressures off myself. I do Project Life, that you may or may not know, so I find that I document our family in that. So scrapbooking is very much just an enjoyable, therapeutic hobby for me. So these photos are from 2019. They're from a holiday. I went to Jordan with my husband, and we managed to go in the Dead Sea, and they recommend, because of the salt content, that the mud is really good for your skin. And I have to say, the staff, they don't really give you much option. So we had a float in the sea, and we took some funny photographs and stuff like that. And then they say, "Oh, would you like some mud, on your arms?" And I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. The next thing, this guy's got me by the hand. He's got mud up my arm. He's got it across my back. He's then rubbing it across my chest. My husband said my face was an absolute picture. I wasn't used to being overly handled by a complete stranger, really. It became really funny. It was all over my legs. In fact, every bit of me that was outside the cosy was covered in mud. So it took a bit of washing off, and you don't want to be washing your face in the Dead Sea because it's salty. It makes your eyes sting. So we ended up with it washed off our bodies but not off our faces, and those photos are even funnier. But actually a huge experience that is just real memory-making stuff. And these two photographs, they epitomise that afternoon in the Dead Sea in Jordan. So I'm now going back to the layout. I'm sticking stuff down, you might have noticed. Now there, I just tucked in a yellow, I think it was an envelope. There was a whole sheet of these envelopes in a Vicki Boutin range a year or so ago. And because there's some yellow on the mixed media paper on the background, I thought that yellow was nice, just tucked in. It gave just a bit of variety. And I brought in a little one from the smaller pad there on the right. And even though that cluster is giving me trouble, I don't know about yourself, but sometimes I find one cluster is easier to put together than another. And if you're doing three, I find it even harder. So I'm going to work on the one on the left, because that one I really feel has come together nicely. I really like the sunglasses. My husband's wearing them in the picture. I thought I was, but when I look carefully, I'm not. But it goes with the holiday theme, and they go with the colours. So that would work really well. There's a little chipboard phrase there, bringing in a bit more dark, a bit more black. It said, "We were made for this." It makes me smile just thinking about these photos. I'm just sticking down a star. That's by the embellished company that I run. That's shenanigans.co.uk. I'll leave a link to that at the bottom. They're just little 3D embellishments. There's an arrow there, just using the title to point at the photographs. I could have backed that cut file. I didn't think it needed it. I did try beforehand putting some papers and some vellum behind it, but I actually liked it where you could see the background of the mixed media paper and the ripped one, so I left it as it was. I know you can't see it very well, but the actual die cut that goes underneath the photograph, the bubbles or the wavy line, that's actually been machine sewn down, but it is so faint in this image that you can't see it. Some of that was just to help it stay in place really, once I'd added a bit of glue. So I'm now going to try and work on this cluster on the right. It's definitely giving me a bit of trouble, but I'm actually going to just start again and put it together. I don't want it to be too wide, feeling that it's turning into a very much an L-shaped layout, but that's okay. It will all come together in the end. I love that tag. It's vellum. It's got maps on it, and even though I do cover some of it, you can see that around the edge. I wanted some journaling strips, so that works quite well there. There's a little journaling card. The words at the top aren't quite what I wanted, but I'm going to cover them with another yellow envelope, just bringing that back in again. And I like that teal. I think that balances the camera and the paper behind, so that will definitely. And now actually, yeah, I feel that this is coming together, so I'm just going to add another star there. So I've got three, which helps your eye bounce around the layout. One by the glasses, one by the arrow, and one there on the right. So that's literally the three areas I want you to focus on. So I took another yellow envelope in at the bottom there, just that gives you three pieces of that colour as well. So it's just all making it not jarring when you look at it. There's another piece of chipboard there that I bring in that says documented. That's going to go near the journaling, which I'll write at the very end. It's just like a who, where, why sort of journaling. It's not loads, but it's enough. So that's everything stuck down. I've added a few of water beads as well around the stars. So thank you so much for watching. Do check out this cut file with Cut to You. Do check out the cut file crew, and we're there once a month. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, follow, and I'll see you here real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.